Welcome. I'm Emily Weaver with Root in Nature, and I'm excited to give you a quick tour of an incredible TH session planning feature that the Root in Nature team developed specifically for people who want to streamline their activity and session planning process. This feature is available to all Growth Network members. To access this great feature, all you have to do is sign in to your Growth Network membership portal and go over to the activity database. What I really love about this session plan function is that it automatically populates the essential activity information into the template and also gives you the chance to fully edit, add, and customize the plan to the TH setting and population you're planning a session for. So I can save this document on my computer and reuse it or adapt a new copy of it for a completely different population rather than starting from scratch every time. I can also use it as a service record for billing by going back into the document after I facilitate the session and noting whether I used all the materials I anticipated or if I went over or under the scheduled session time. So to use this TH session planning function, let's imagine that you are planning for a TH session that's going to occur next week, and you're in a little bit of a time crunch. So you come into the activity database and you say, okay, I'm looking for a main activity, and I want it to involve botanical arts and crafts. So we set our filters and start scrolling through, and oh, I like the looks of this one, collect a rainbow. So as you can see, the normal functions that we have available, we see all the instructions, materials needed for the activity. I can simply print this activity and grab it and take it with me to the session. But I could also create a session plan. Now, when I click into this, you get this fillable template. And you'll notice that there are some areas that are pre-filled. You see down here, you can kind of see it. These all are populated directly from the original Collect a Rainbow activity that we just looked at. But then it also gives us the opportunity to customize and fill in different sections so that we can be reminded of what we want to do. And like I said, we can save this and use it in the future. So looking at these different areas that we can fill in, we see the main activity overview. This is just a brief summary so that we remember what the activity is about, and time to complete. So let's say the session is scheduled for 60 minutes. That's what the estimated time is, and that's what I'm hoping for. And I'm actually going to put in here actual and factors, just because when I come back after the session, I want to record whether or not it actually took 60 minutes, and if it didn't, then I'll write in the factors section that participants went slower or faster than I expected, so that I can remember for next time that maybe I need to bring more supplemental information to round out the full 60 minutes. We can come down here to target population, and let's say that we're working with youth with intellectual and developmental disabilities at a vocational rehabilitation center. And of course, this is important because the type of population we work with is going to affect how long everything takes to do and what kind of considerations and precautions we're going to take with materials and our facilitation techniques. Number of participants, the site said that it was going to be about 8 to 10 people, so we'll record that. If that changes, I'll definitely make a note of that later. And the group or individual session goals. So here I might put a long-term goal, I'll just kind of put a filler in there. And then I can do short-term goal 1 that's going to address the long-term goal, short-term goal 2, and so on. I can do as many as I want to add here, but this is a great way for us to just have a quick reminder if I print this out later and bring it to the session about what goals we're actually trying to address. And then you can see here, this particular activity doesn't have a lot of activity materials, but this is what we have. And right here, you can see that this template is populated so that I can print this off really quick, nice and easy. Or I can add things if let's say that I bought some special paper for this particular activity and I want to add it here. I can simply just add another line and say paper, and I can grab the link and I can come here and I can insert the link right here so that I can remember how much it costs, where I found it, so that I don't have to search for it again. So I can add to it even though it's populated. And then down here for material precautions, this is where you may say things like, Jake likes to put things in his mouth. This as a reminder so that you are watching somebody particularly as you're working with a bunch of natural materials, or, you can add all kinds of different material precautions. We need to use blunter scissors or other things. So you can list them all there. If there's something in particular that you really want to call out, you can bold. There's all kinds of functions. And then we come down to the pre-session preparations and environmental modification session, where it's already populated in here what really needs to be done. But of course, I can always add to this. I can put a reminder in here to bring something that the host site had just for the last time. Really nice as a note-keeping location for each session. And then we come to the session introduction opening activity. And, this may be where I just write my own introduction. We're just going to introduce our names. We're going to make name tags, whatever I want to write. Or I can go back into the activity database through this other tab. I can reset my filters, and I can go select introductions, opening activities. These are short activities that'll get the session started. So let's say I choose the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 mindfulness activity. I can simply right-click, copy the link address, go back into my session plan, and I can come down and I can say, I'm going to use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 meditation activity, and I can link it so that I have that ready for me when I go next week to my session. Then we've got our step-by-step instructions. It's wonderful. So when I print this, I'm going to have everything that I need so that I don't forget. And then I come down to the session closing activity, and I can do the same thing that I did with the opening activity. I can go back into the activity database, and I can add a link or customize instructions about how I want to close this out. Then we come down to activity adaptations, and this is where I might write that somebody uses a wheelchair and needs a taller workbench, that somebody may benefit from having backrests and armrests when they're sitting. So I add these things so that I remember those. And then I add modifications for enhanced sensory stimulation. And there's always an opportunity to add more sensory stimulation, right? So this section, it kind of serves as a reminder for people to say, okay, let me step back and let me see if there's more ways that I can add sensory stimulation. And so I'm going to write my notes here if there is any way. And then we have made some suggestions and populated in some supplemental resources that you may want to check out. Or if you feel like the session may go a little shorter with the main activity, then you might want to print these things out, this trivia, and have it ready so that if you need a little extra time at the end of the session, you'll be able to use this activity. And then finally, any notes or suggestions that you do not want to forget. So let's say we just write a few things in there, and now we want to push save. As soon as you push save, it'll save everything that you wrote in this template, even when you leave. When you leave this site and you come back in and you click back into this particular activity, this will always be here. All right, so we've finished everything in the template. We've written everything in that we want. So we're going to push save. And as soon as we push save, it will always be available to you every time you get into the activity database and go to this activity. All of these customizations will be saved so that you can make adjustments if needed. And we can go to download as Word. It comes up here in our downloads. So as you can see, it's come up as a Word document that we can edit any way that we'd like. We can change the font, the size, color, just like you can in Word. And it's brought all of the information that we wrote into this document so that we can now save it to our computer, we can print it, we can go back into it and use it as a record, and change it and adapt it to various populations and settings as we need later on. So overall, we hope this session planning tool will streamline your process and make your work a lot easier so that you're not recreating the wheel over and over. So if you haven't joined the Growth Network yet, we highly encourage you to do so that you can check this great feature out. Thank you so much.